What's up, awesome YouTubers? Rhine1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys, and today is going to be my third episode in my Halloween videos. And I know this is late. Was busy Friday, so I didn't have time to post it on Friday or this past weekend. So it is being posted today, and I do apologize for that. And I'll have my other one posted either tomorrow or sometime soon this weekend. Like I said, just been busy, so I haven't had time to post the videos on Friday, and I do apologize for that. But this is going to be my third episode where I'm going to talk about Wes Craven, and this is really a tribute to Wes Craven, and talking about some of his not so well-known horror films. You know, these films get talked about, but when it comes to Wes Craven, a lot of people either mention Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, Hills Have Eyes, or The Last House on the Left. Those are the ones I hear a lot, most of the time people talk about. But you know, these films that I'm going to talk about, they do get mentioned every so often. But when it comes to Wes Craven, those four that I mentioned before, like Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, are the ones that get mentioned a lot more. So these are just must-watch Wes Craven films that I highly recommend checking out. Rather, you haven't seen them yet, I recommend checking them out. Or if you haven't seen them in a long time, definitely go back and rewatch them. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Wes Craven's 1989 film, Shocker. And this is the Scream Factory Blu-ray. This is going to be in my update coming soon. But Shocker is one, like I said, came out in 1989. It surrounds the murderer Pinker, who's on the cover, and he gets caught, finally gets caught. You know, he's a murderer killing people, and he's put to death. And after that, he comes back through electricity and through TVs and starts killing again, basically. I haven't seen this movie in a while, so if the plot summary is pretty bad, I do apologize for it. But that's kind of the idea about the film. Now, Shocker is one that people are either like or don't like. I'm one that loves this movie. I've loved it ever since I first saw it. I really don't get the hate for the film. I think it's a great Wes Craven film, in my opinion, and just a very underrated film from him. But what was interesting about this film was that Wes Craven was interested in making another franchise with this killer, Pinker. And since the movie didn't do so well, it never went into a franchise. But I'm glad it kind of, you know, stands on its own. I'm glad it doesn't have the sequels. I don't know if it'd work as a series, but as a movie itself, I love the film. I think it's great, and it's one that every time I watch it, I love it. So, Shocker, if you haven't seen that one, I highly recommend it. The next one is another one that will be in my update, and I got this around the same time that I got Shocker, and it's Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. This is, again, another Scream Factory release. I watched this again last week, and I have to say, rewatching it, I love the movie. I've always liked the movie as a kid, but I never loved the film. And for me now, watching it again, I appreciate it a lot more to where I love it, like I mentioned. Now, People Under the Stairs, the storyline for this film, and this is a quick plot, so if I'm terrible at describing it, I'm sorry. But it basically surrounds this kind of deranged family. There's a lot more secrets to them that I'm not going to mention if you haven't seen it. But they own, you know, some land, they own apartment complexes, and there's a group of people that live in these apartment complexes. And this family's trying to get them out, and they want to take down this apartment complex and change it up. And this group of people that live in these apartments basically go to their house. They want to break in, get their money, and what they find out is that there's more people living in that house than just this crazy family. There's people under the stairs, in the basement, in the walls, and they are basically trapped in there. And that's kind of the idea about the film. Like I said, I'm bad at describing movies, so I'm sorry about that. But I love The People Under the Stairs. Like I said, now I have more of an appreciation for the film. And if you haven't seen this one, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a fun Wes Craven film. I wouldn't say it's scary. I'd say it's more fun. Definitely a crazy film. but it's one that I definitely enjoy watching, and rewatching it again recently, I love the film. So Peep on the Stairs, definitely check this one out. The next one is easily in my top 5 favorite Wes Craven movies of all time, and it is Deadly Blessing from 1981. In Deadly Blessing, the idea about this movie is it surrounds this kind of Amish country, and it surrounds these 3 girls here, or these 3 ladies, including Sharon Stone, who are basically terrorized by some supernatural force or some person who we don't know until the end of the movie is revealed. And they're being terrorized by this certain person. And it all kind of surrounds this, they're not Amish people, they're called Hittites. And, you know, that's kind of the basic plot of it without giving too much away. And I say "and" a lot, I'm sorry. But I love the film. It's hard to describe because, like I said, I don't want to spoil anything for you if you haven't seen it, because there's a lot of plot twists throughout the film. There's a lot of crazy things that happen. It's a slasher film mixed with a thriller, mixed with a kind of supernatural essence to it, which I'm not really going to talk about without spoiling it. But I love Deadly Blessing. It's easily one of my favorite films. I was so happy that Scream Factory released this probably 3 or 4 years ago. This was a movie that was hard to come by. You know, this movie never had a DVD or Blu-ray release up until the Scream Factory release in the US. And I had an Australian release, an Umbrella release before this ever came out that I would watch over and over and over again. But Deadly Blessing is definitely one of my favorites, and if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. The next one is one that a lot of people don't like. I love the film, and I recommend checking it out because for me, I just consider it to be a fun slasher film. It's not one to take serious. There's definitely some problems with the movie. Some things I question, but I still love the film, and it is Wes Craven's follow-up to his first film, The Hills Have Eyes Part 2, or The Hills Have Eyes, yeah, Part 2. This one came out in 1985, and it's the follow-up to his 1977 film, The Hills Have Eyes. And it's kind of a continuation, and the idea behind this movie is it's a group of teenagers going to this bike event, and they basically kind of get stuck out in the desert where the Hills Have Eyes characters are back there, and one by one they're picked off, and that is the idea behind the film, kind of the basic idea. It is one of those films that has flaws. I definitely understand that, but I love the film, and I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I go into the movie thinking of it as a fun slasher film, where the original one is it's a serious movie. It's a dark film. This is a lot more fun. This is not something to take serious. If you are looking for a good Halloween watch, or you're looking for just a fun 80s horror film, you know, watch The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. In my opinion, it's not as bad as people say it is, and it's one that I really enjoy watching, so The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. And the last one I'm going to talk about is Wes Craven's Deadly Blessing. This one came out right after Nightmare on Elm Street, I believe 1986. And this one stars Christy Swanson from the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the original Flowers in the Attic movie. And Deadly Friend, it's a very interesting plot. It basically surrounds this new guy moving into town with his mom, and he has a robot named BB. And once he moves to this town, he meets Christy Swanson. And this is supposed to be Christy Swanson on the cover. I'm not too crazy about that cover, but there she is on the back. Once he meets her, they become friends, and eventually his robot BB is destroyed in the film. And around this time, Christy Swanson winds up being killed by her father accidentally when he pushed her down these stairs. And the lead guy in the film, I can't remember his name, Paul, he decides to bring Christy Swanson back to life by using BB's chip that he had and puts it in her head. And when she wakes up, she's not the same person that she once was. She's kind of a deadly machine, and that is the idea behind the film. Little idea. I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen it, but for me, Deadly Friend was always one of those movies that, you know, I watched the ending on Joe Bob Briggs' TNT show. Oh gosh. Monster Vision, that's what it was. And every Saturday, Joe Bob Briggs would play different old school, underrated, popular movies. And I remember Deadly Friend one day being on. And I had not watched the whole movie. I didn't know what this movie was, but all I remember was the ending. The ending just grabbed my attention. As a kid, I was like, what is this movie? And then, years later, I remember the film, I looked it up on YouTube, I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, I really want to see this film again. And I kid you not, I went to Walmart and they had released this DVD of Deadly Friend, and I've had it ever since. I love the film. I know, like Hills Have Eyes Part 2, when people most of the time talk about it, they don't really like the film. It's not as appreciated as much as if, like Nightmare on Elm Street or Scream. Those are the ones that Wes Craven gets, high praise for. And Deadly Friend is one that really doesn't get praised a lot. But I love Deadly Friend, and if you haven't seen it, this is a fun 80s horror film. Again, like Hills Have Eyes Part 2, don't take it serious. It's a fun plot to the movie, but it's a great movie in my opinion. And so there's the back. I love it. So if you can get your hands on it, definitely check it out. It does not have a Blu-ray release. If this ever got a Blu-ray release, I would buy it though, because like I said, I love Deadly Friend, and the ending when I was a kid always just caught my interest. And I don't want to talk about it if you haven't seen the movie yet. So, but Deadly Friend, a good movie. Great movie in my opinion. So that is going to be my top 5 Wes Craven films, must-watch films to check out from him. Wes Craven was a legend. He created a lot of great characters. He directed a lot of great movies, including Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream and Hills Have Eyes and The Last House on the Left. But he also has some other great movies, not just these, but he has some other ones that are great. But shocker, People Under the Stairs, Deadly Blessing, Hills Have Eyes Part 2, and Deadly Friend are always going to be some of my favorite Wes Craven films that I check out either in the month of October or in the year, or over the years I'll check it out all year around. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be back this week, probably with my 4th episode, where I'll be talking about top 5 new horror films to check out that you might not have seen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. In with the positive, out with the negative, and go eat some Skittles. Alright guys, bye.